right, and we're live here at the station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neal.
That would make me terrible, Troy.
And we're joined by the returning writer and director of Round the Decay, Adam Newman. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. And just got to say, your guys' intro is so cool. It's so great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Shout out to Latuma Nick Cage for writing and performing the theme song. It's wild.
Yeah, it's great.
So, well, Melody will probably join us a little bit later. So we had you on before. We talked about, making the movie. We'll talk more about that, but I do want to let people know we don't want to spoil anything, so we won't go into too much depth of a lot of things. Sure. But I do want to know, what was the premiere like? Not only you write it, you direct it, you put all this time into it, and then you get to see it with people.
It's cool, that's for sure. So yeah, we got to premiere our movie. We had about 200 people there, which was a great turnout. And then we ended up having another showing the following night for about another 100 people, and then 2 days later we ended up having a much smaller showing up in Maine. It's really cool. The thing, of course, though, is those first two showings, I had a miserable time in a way, just because sitting there and you're hyper focused on all the things that have gone wrong, and you're praying that people are enjoying it, and then afterwards everybody goes, "Oh, that was great," and you go, "You're lying to me." And so it really finally hit me actually at the showing up in Maine. It was a much smaller. It was probably about 10 people or so. It was the middle of a week, but we had these very, very interested people who knew nothing about me. They just came to see the movie, and afterwards we had about a 2-hour Q&A. And I went, wow. "Oh yeah, no, it was great." And they just sat down and they just had so many questions, and they were glowing, which was amazing, especially being people that don't know me. They don't know.
Yeah, I like that you put that in there, because I know how that feels. You think oh, well, they're a friend of mine or a relative. They can't tell me this was okay or it sucked or something. Yeah.
Right, and so I had that problem when it came to the premiere. I'm not great at premieres. I sit there and I just kind of agonize over them. And although Round the Decay has a couple, minor laughs and stuff like that, and it's not a comedy movie, and so you don't get that instant gratification of people laughing constantly or anything like that. And so you're just sitting there going are they reacting? Are they getting this? Are they responding? Luckily, there was a couple times, I don't want to spoil the moments, but there are a few times in the movie where we got good oofs. We got some no's, which are always good. And so when it was all said and done, I think that the experience was quite good. And there were some people that came up afterwards and that were just so damn kind about the movie. And that's, if you can get through to one person, then the movie was probably worth it.
Yeah. Now, had the cast seen the movie before the premiere?
The cast?
Yeah.
No, God, no. I mean, to be completely honest with you, we saw the movie the day before and then had to recut something. We had a song drop out. We ended up losing the rights to a very popular song. And so we had to redo it at midnight the night before, and we were showing at 11 a.m. And so we were racing to get this over to them, get the DCP loaded up. So we had barely seen the movie, and we ended up, what the version that you guys have seen and that those people saw is going to be slightly different than the version that we're going to be putting out to theaters, just because we were trying to race to get this thing out. So we'll have some updated visual effects, and we'll have some fixed up sound and stuff like that. But no, definitely none of them had seen anything. I think maybe one or two of them had seen 30 minutes of the movie, just because they were kind of forced to when we had to do ADR stuff.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that intentional? Do you prefer that the cast don't see it until the premiere?
Oh yeah, I would prefer nobody ever to see it. The only people that should see the movie are me and my editor, because I mean, you guys have made movies before. You see, if you look at a rough cut, it's one of the worst things that's ever existed. Everybody's rough cut is it looks like vomit, and it sounds like vomit, and it's just really tough. I ended up having to show a little clip of it to my sister. And we ended up afterwards. She came to the premiere, and I talked to her afterwards. She's like, "Man, I thought the movie was going to suck because I saw the first draft of it." Yeah, I think that you don't want to put that into anybody's head. Also, you're trying to make the most perfect version of this thing that you possibly can. Obviously, they read the script and they had something in their head. That's true. I don't want to tarnish that, and I hope that ultimately the thing that's going to exist is that final cut of the film, and
Yeah.
every version that it took for us to get there, those are kind of, they're still in my mind, they're burned in there. It's like going to war, but the good news is they don't have to see that. Hopefully they just get presented the nicest version of the thing, and then they can decide whether or not they like it from there.
Yeah, I brought this up on the show before when Once in Future Smash. So I see it's like not even the work print. I forget the name of it. It's like the assembly cut. And I was like, it was my first time, working on a feature at all. And I was like, oh man, I don't think we even have a movie. I didn't want to tell anybody. And like, no, just this is how it goes. Just wait. And then, as we all took notes, and I didn't even want to take certain notes because I felt bad. I'm like, wow, some of this stuff's really not working. And then like, no, be completely honest. And so then I understood after a while, but at first I was like, whoa, I don't know what.
Yeah, I remember when you first talked to me after you had seen that, and you were like, I don't think I'll ever do this again. This is the worst thing ever.
Honestly, I'm not at all surprised. It is insane because the first time you get that, right, and most of the time it's 25 or 30 minutes baggier than the final project, and you get that thing and you go, oh, I did it. I made the worst movie that's ever been made. I can't believe I just pulled it off. That was pretty much
what he told me.
Yeah, but it is crazy. You just kind of whittle it away, and now I'm getting kind of used to it. When I saw that assembly of Round the Decay, I went like, oh, this is pretty good for an assembly. I would never show it to anybody, but at least I felt okay about it. There were sections. I mean, it's very difficult. I can spoil at least this, that it is a monster movie. And when you're making a monster movie, it's very difficult for the movie to seem scary or suspenseful or anything like that without any of the music and in that assembly cut. So it's like, it is difficult. You have to sit there and imagine, okay, if we have the score here and we have a stinger here and we have the sound design here, and like, is this thing going to work? So yeah, it's a balancing act, and really it just ends up being, it's like you got a big block of wood and you carved out the general outline of the thing that you're trying to build, and then from there you just have to keep scraping away until you kind of get it finally formed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a famous story. Even the original Halloween, when they watched it without the score, people thought it was a nothing movie, and then
right,
they added
of course.
the score.
It's amazing how much sound design, whether it be in your sound effects, your Foley work, all that type of stuff, and your soundtrack, your score. It's amazing how much of the heavy lifting those do. So yeah.
And so Michael and Sophia, who I made the movie with, they were really adamant about the cast not seeing it until the premiere of our movie, and
Sure.
Some of the cast was really dying to see it because it was we filmed it before COVID, and then it was like all these delays and stuff. But I was glad we did it that way because it was a really great experience. The cast watching it for the first time all together.
It is a great feeling, right? And when the crew is watching it too, and especially because oftentimes the crew, I'm sorry to spoil the illusion here, but the crew hasn't read the script oftentimes or in detail or anything like that. So all they kind of did was see what we were piecing together. And so they're the ones that came up very enthusiastically afterward and we're like, whoa, I can't believe that we were able to pull this thing off. And on the day we thought it was going to be cool, but then you get to see it on camera and it's so much cooler, So yeah. It is a great bonding feeling. Of course, it's tough, like you said, to take exactly what they're saying seriously and believe that they actually believe it. But no, it's such a cool feeling when everybody in the room kind of goes like, wow, we did this thing together.
So when we had last time, I assumed it was a monster movie last time because you had compared it to Pumpkinhead, and
sure.
But there was very little out there. There was a trailer, but it really didn't say anything.
No, almost nothing. Yeah,
that's great.
Which I think is good.
Yeah. The biggest thing what we wanted with the trailer, which we've gotten great responses for, has just been that every person has said like, I don't know what it's about, but we wanted everybody to be saying like, oh, I want to know what happens 3 seconds before that shot and that shot and that shot. And I want to know what happens 3 seconds after that shot. And so, yeah. And I think that it intrigued you guys. You guys probably watch tons of trailers too. And you see a lot of trailers these days and you're like, oh, I just watched the entire movie. Why am I going to bother with this?
Go in for the last 5 minutes and I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. And so we wanted something that would tease that and tease the idea. I think you can get out of the trailer going like, oh, there's some type of creature in this, but that's all you can really come out of it with. And so I'm glad we surprised you.
Yeah, definitely. Was there anyone involved on any level that like you have to show like more of the monster? You either in the trailer or like pictures out there or the poster or anything like that?
I mean, we've had discussions about how much we can show as we now get, we're in right before our theatrical run. We're getting very close to it. And how much can we show leading up to that? We have lots of long discussions with Dreamscape about what we can and can't show, what we can talk about it. Can we talk about anything about the lore of the monster? Can we name the monster? Can we say who plays the monster? All these type of things. They are conversations that we do have. But I'm very lucky, Dreamscape, who put most of the money forward for this movie, is very much in line with what we want to do. We know what we wanted to do coming into this thing. We know that the reveal of the monster is such a big part, especially for horror fans. Like, I know we all want to see it, but that's why you go to see the movie. And the monster makes the movie, or the movie makes the monster, rather, I should say. And so that's important, is that you go through that journey, you get to reveal what that thing looks like. And then at the end, hopefully, when we've done very well and everybody really likes the movie, and then you see all the pictures going online, the next thing is, okay, well, if we make a sequel, how do we expand on that? How do we go beyond that,
Yeah. So you talked about theatrical release. So when will it be, opening at theaters?
Yeah, so that's very, very cool that we have been able to get into theaters. I can't say what theaters we're in yet. I can just tell you that we're in over 100 across the country. So
that's cool.
We're very excited about that. I can tell you that January 30th/31st, that kind of Thursday, Friday, is going to be our opening week. That seems like it's completely set in stone. We actually bumped it a little bit just because of some releases of some other movies. And now it's looking like it's going to be that 31st. And we've got, a week run at some cinemas. Some cinemas have given us almost a month run, which is great. So yeah, we're hoping that everybody's going to go see it. Hopefully anybody that's watching this now, we are going to be having pre-sale tickets coming out very, very soon. And if you do pre-buy them, there's going to be some cool perks that come alongside it. And if you do this, it ends up helping us immensely, because what it does is gives us the opportunity to get into even more theaters as well.
Yeah,
so,
that's great.
I bring up like Terrifier 2 a lot.
Well, of course,
not every movie can be Terrifier 2, but that had a very short opening.
Yep.
And it just kept doing better, and word of mouth, and that they kept extending it, and that can happen today.
Of course, and I mean, Terrifier, you have to bring it up in every conversation as an indie horror person, whether or not. I mean, I've never seen the movie, and I'm never going to. It's very much not up my alley.
Very, very graphic.
Yeah. Which is not. It's just not for me. But like our crew for Round the Decay is the crew from Terrifier 3. They literally went from Terrifier 3 to us. Some of them were late by a couple days because they were on Terrifier 3. It's something that we all have a conversation about. It would be incredibly unrealistic for us to believe that we have the ability to do what Terrifier 3 did, or even potentially Terrifier 2. But because that is a lightning in a bottle situation, they found something, they captured it. Damien, who made those movies, really understands what he's going for. And thankfully, an audience wanted that desperately, which is great and which is huge. We're not expecting that. However, what we're hoping for is that we get in front of more people. People start to understand that Dreamscape is making cool stuff. Most important, though, is people watch it, they like it, and hopefully word of mouth continues on, just like you said, with Terrifier 2.
It's definitely helped movies get even a chance. Then help movies get in the door that might not have otherwise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
We caught a bunch of it were just like a one-day release. That,
of course.
Like, so happy that we did get to see.
Yeah, besides the big movies, that is what for lower budget movies. That's what people go see at the theater. Are the independent horror films.
Terrifier just reconfirmed it more than anything. It really is. It is horror movies that are. It is independent horror movies that are the easiest in terms of getting themselves into that theatrical, for sure. And so, we've got our fingers crossed here that it's gonna work. And obviously, the audience has to come, and also the audience has to talk about it if they really do like it.
So Melody K has joined us, and she's got really cool red light here.
Yeah.
Yes, like I've always said, I'm no Mike McGillnick, but I do have my ways. And Adam, who told you that this was your year? Can you remember who that person was?
Yeah, Melody has been saying that for quite some time, and she's dead on. And not only did we have the movie, you know, like I bought a house and I got married all in this same window.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's been great.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Yep,
very
that's
much. It's been a great year. So I'll give all the credit to Melody.
Yes. Oh my God.
Very good. Very
Oh, somebody finally. I love it.
good. So, Melody, what was it like for you at the premiere? First of all, even before being there, going into the premiere.
Okay, this is a fun one.
I can't wait for this. Yeah, I can't wait to hear how she tells it.
I literally was still on an airplane when the premiere started, frantically texting Adam, which is my thing. I'm surprised he hasn't changed his phone number. I'm like, I'm here, but not here. So, you know, it was like your typical, like, oh, she thinks she's a celebrity. She shows up like in the middle of a premiere. Yeah, no, I'm just an idiot, and things happened, and but it didn't matter. It was still one of the best, most memorable, epic times ever. And so, you know, I always in with a bang, out with a bang, whatever, however you want to look at it.
Were you glad that you didn't see the movie till then? Did you think that added to the experience? You know, seeing the movie for the first time.
When you're 45 years old and you haven't seen yourself on like film, unless it's like a Snapchat filter where you look like you're 12. Or that was a little nerve-wracking. And I'd like texted Adam, I'm like, can you just like sneak me? So I just want to see. He's like, no. I'm like, ah! And, yeah, but I am thrilled because I didn't end up on the cutting room floor, so that's always a plus. And it just was everything that I had a gut feeling it would be. It was flawless. I have ADD. I could sit through this movie too. He has a way of like doing that for me, so it's good. It was amazing.
It's very kind. Thank you.
No, I really dug the movie, and you were great in it, Melody. Not just because you were here. I thought, yeah.
Because you have to say that. It's okay, Neal.
I always tell Neal he has the worst poker face. So, like, if he ever tells you that, and you can automatically.
I probably shouldn't say that, because then if I don't say that, people are like, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's gonna be somebody that comes on.
Neal, we were just talking about that. Yeah, like you could sit through the most inappropriate things that like fly out, and you're just like, mm-hmm. So next question. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. And what has this done for people who don't know? Melody, you know, took a break from acting for a while. What has that done for that? Is it something that you get in a new movie? Is it like, this is something I want to do again?
Oh, there's no question. Like, I stepped foot like into that lodge, and I was like, I'm home, not just like because it was like a really awesome creepy place, which I like, but because it's, you know, God gives us all certain gifts, God, universe, whatever the hell you want to call it. He hasn't given me like some of the ones that I've tried really hard at, but this is, you know, like it was a very, very missed part of my life. And I'm extremely blessed to have had everything come together to bring me back to where people like pay me to cry and watch it instead of like, oh God, not this again. You're so dramatic. You know? So it's yeah, I'm in, and you're not getting rid of me anytime soon.
And so, Adam, you sought Melody out because you were a fan of hers.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny the timing of it too. It's we were just finishing up our movie Everwinter Night, and we just came back for reshoots, and I was sitting down with my editor Topher, and we were just having conversations. We were kind of doing those, they don't make them like they used to, you know, type conversations, and we were having a conversation about. We were just talking about all the like the hijinks movies of like the 90s where kids like seemed parentless. And so, you know, Topher and I were talking, and we both went at the same time. We're like, well, yeah, like Camp Nowhere. And then like all came rushing back to. I'm like, oh my God, Camp Nowhere! I loved Camp Nowhere. I remember going to Express Video in Newburyport, walking down there while my mom was working and renting it over and over. And I did that thing where I was like, you know what? Let's check back in on it, which is a terrifying thing, right? If you go back and watch your childhood movies, most of the time you're like, oh
sometimes
no,
you
this
can't
is
go back.
yeah. And so I ended up it was on Hulu. I think it had just hit Hulu, and I was like, all right, I'll just throw it on. And the movie, and you know, you've probably seen the Rotten Tomato scores. It's like super low for some damn reason. It's just ridiculous. And I watched the movie again. This movie rules. This movie is so damn good. And Melody is so unbelievably good in it. And then like the main character, the character who plays the kid Mud, is very much who I was when I was like a kid. I was always like rounding everybody up and trying to get these little adventures going. This is why I'm a director. And yeah, I was just watching it again, and I saw Melody in it, and I was like, wow, she's so good in this movie. She's such a good child actor. I couldn't believe it. And I said, you know what? I do this all the time. I just reach out to people and see, hey, is there any chance? And I checked IMDb Pro, and there was her email address. And I was just like, well, in all likelihood, she's just going to ignore it because that's what most people do. It probably doesn't even work. It's going to kick back and say that this is an old email address or anything like that. And it sounds like at that time, Melody, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like you were just kind of like, I want to get back into this. So it was just kind of
I mean, fresh
weird
off
timing.
the boat or on the boat, whatever, however you want to look at it.
Right.
I mean, the timing was cosmic. It really was.
Yeah, and so it was really cool. It was, you know, it was kind of surreal, you know, working with this person. And I watched that movie. The movie came out in like, what is it, 94 or something like that?
94.
Yeah, I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I
know,
remember watching this over and over.
Yeah. Like Adam's always like given this vibe, like as if he's like as old as me, and I'm like, no, sweetie, no.
94 is the year I graduated. I graduated high school in 94. Yeah.
Did you? Okay. Well, I'm a little bit younger than you. But yeah, no, it was really cool. And just to see, you know, like I said, see her in the movie, she was really good. I said, why not give it a shot? We do this with a lot of people. 99% of the people, you get nothing back, or their agent tells you to shut up, or whatever it may be. And I was lucky enough that Melody, you know, was pretty much on board almost right away. It was just like, yeah, no, I'm interested.
You know, and I was with my manager / fiance, and I was like, oh my God, Mike, I need a fucking manager. Like, I can't like look like I haven't been represented. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I was like shaking, so excited, and you know, and then I have to be all like, yeah, like, oh yeah, you're lucky to have me on this. But no, it was a terrifyingly amazing. See, I'm gonna use that word again. But so you know, it worked out because my fiance, he has an amazing way with like verbiage and like well, okay, so that's like the same thing, but I knew that he could like put it into words that would look like I'm actually like, you know, not a hot mess, and you know, and it was phenomenal, and it all went uphill from there. And it was during the SAG strike, which I hated to admit, but I was, you know, I'm one of the people who does the voting for it. So I was like, okay, well, you know,
let's get this over with.
Yeah. No, but I never had to go against any of like my, you know, morale or moral, you know, like it was the perfect cosmic timing. And that is exactly what I told him. I was like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, he just won like all these awards and everything. And I was like, oh yeah. And see, and the strike ends right as you want to make this movie, like go buy a lottery ticket and just do this thing. So it was exciting.
So Melody mentioned the lodge. Now, did you like have access to that before you write the script? So like, do you know, like you have this, so maybe I can write this, you know, place into the script?
Yeah, almost every time. You know, I come from a school of, you guys are in the same boat as me. You know, we make budget movies, and when you make budget movies, you start to learn over time that you just write what you have, write what you know, all those types of things, and then just get creative wherever you can. I was very lucky that back then we owned that ski lodge. So not only did it operate as a cool location, as Melody mentioned, when she walks in, it's got this old creepy vibe, which I wrote specifically for it.
Put me right with like who's a ghost, so that was good too.
Yeah, exactly. And then also it ends up being, we had 80 rooms. It's lodging
people
for
can
the
stay there,
entire shoot, and you
Yes.
cannot believe how much money that ends up saving. And then we
Yeah.
have a kitchen
I
down
can
there as well, so we were catering it as well. So it just became, it just saved us tons of money. And then we know, hey, that's how we can put our money on the screen, and that's
Yeah.
why we always, we like to say that we can make a penny look like a dollar. And the reason is because when you're able to cut costs in all those other places, you do it. And you guys have seen the movie, and so you know that there's
it's a pretty big cast. The
Oh,
movie,
yeah.
it's a lot bigger cast than a lot of independent films. So
because I'm an idiot. I continue to do that. I love ensemble movies. I do. Well, one thing is I just love working with actors. It's such a cool thing. I love characters. And so and honestly, they're the people that make the movie, it's them and it's my crew that make the movie look cool and make it feel real. And it's so neat when you write a character and, I'm doing everything I can to make them as three-dimensional as possible, but they're nothing until an actor utters one word, and then you go like, holy shit, okay, oh my God, this is a completely different animal now. And so, yeah, I keep writing in those actors, but I know where I can cut the costs when it comes to this, which is, the ski lodge.
Yeah,
and
saying
it's
like it
the
would be hard to
arcade.
have that big of a cast, like if you didn't have a place where they could stay,
Yeah.
without paying
Exactly.
a fortune.
And like all of those locations that were in the movie, for the most part, are things that we owned, or we knew people that were able to get us good deals for them, or whatever it was.
We're
There's a
all
good,
incredible too. It was
and you've seen the arcade sequence. Like, we own the arcade. That is our arcade.
Nice.
It's part of the company. So like, of course, I walk into that arcade. I run that arcade from afar, and I go, hey, this would be cool in a movie. And so, yeah, you take stock of what you have, and then you try to make the best thing that you can. Obviously, like you said, there's a big cast in the movie. We had to cut characters, of course, too, because I just make these things huge and bloated to start, and you have to whittle them down and combine characters and stuff like
So
that.
you have like a 4-hour movie.
Yeah, that's very true.
Well, it's probably better than wait, I have to pad this out, so it's not. 45 minutes.
If you ever have to pad, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah.
My biggest problem is writing scripts that are short. I always try to get it under 100 pages. I've never been able to. My first drafts are typically 130. I got this down, I think, to like 111, and then I think if you looked at what the actual final, you took away the scenes that we did cut, it probably is like 108 or 105 or something like that.
Hence why before I got there, I was like, so Adam, like, if I only have one scene, can I know that before I get there? But that did not happen. So
it didn't happen. Yeah, I was gonna say, we cut a couple scenes, but it wasn't many. I mean, cutting scenes in a feature, especially when you're on a budget, is really tough, because that means you just lit money on fire if that's the case, So we try to get the script as tight as possible and cut every ounce of fat. And then once you get into the edit, you're cutting even more than that. It's going, what we just need to give the bare bones of what the audience needs, and that is it. Get out. Don't wear out your welcome. You know what I mean? So we're getting better and better at that, which is a good way to save some of those bucks too.
I have to ask, so since you own arcade, run arcade, what's your favorite classic video game?
Classic? Are you talking about like classic arcade game?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember this, but
well, okay. First of all, classic is a little bit different now that I learned that you.
I was just wondering that too. I'm thinking like
But
Dig
then you
Dug
got to
or
remember,
something,
I'm
but
9 years old in it, Neal. So
Yeah.
my classic's probably a little different than your classic.
So I'm not. So my dad is a big fan of the classic. If you're talking about the classic, it's something like a Pac-Man. But if you're talking to arcade games, I mean, I love the Simpsons arcade game where you got the whole family and you get to fight together and stuff like that. I'm a big arcade player. My favorite right now is Dead Storm Pirates. Anytime I can find a Dead Storm Pirates at an arcade, I will just drop all my money to beat it. So.
And I can like watching him and then Topher, like I took like video of Topher because he reminded me of like my son, who like when he's in a game, it's life. Like there's no, I literally could have like lit a fire and like and he's like, I'm gonna win this. Like it's cute, very cute.
How about any pinball machines stand out?
I'm quite possibly the worst pinball machine player in the history of the planet. I'm so bad at it. Every single time I get the one thing, I flip it up once, and then it does that thing where it falls directly center.
Right in the
And
middle, yeah. And it just pisses you off, huh?
Yeah, it's like it's the equivalent of being the guy where the rain cloud is only raining on you, and so I just kind of gave up on pinball altogether.
Yeah, I can't say either Troy and I are great pinball players, but we do like to play pinball. So.
And the new Jaws machine is so much fun.
Yeah, the new Jaws
came out
is pretty
this year.
awesome.
So good.
Okay, we got to do a sequel so we can go back to the arcade.
Yeah, exactly.
Purpose here.
I'm writing. I'm writing.
The sequel takes place primarily
I
in
had
the
lots of
arcade.
ideas.
So, how about some of the outside stuff? You know, the caves, and I know you talked a little bit about the caves last time.
Oh, sure. I'd love to talk about the cave. Yeah, so it was in Ruggles Mine, which is in Grafton, New Hampshire. Logistical nightmare, absolutely. It was, Melody can attest. It was so damn cold when we were filming, and we got snow in April. It was brutal. I wrote it thinking like, oh yeah, well everybody would be in shorts and t-shirts, and no, that was not the case. My Topher, the guy who edits, and he's my first AD as well. I showed him the location, and when I showed him the location, Topher has a worse poker face than you, Neal, and he was going like, what are we doing? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean we're shooting in here? And then later we had a conversation when we were kind of breaking down what we did well and what we didn't do well. And he said, like, I think your best quality is actually your worst quality. And I said, what is it? And he said, it's like you're unrealistic when it comes to a location. However, like it all ends up being worth it. He's like, I would have looked at that mine and would have said, never, ever. He says, every time you do it, and then I say like, oh, it's okay, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. We'll just figure it out. And then we get there and it ends up being hell. And then like you guys have seen the movie, and I think that you guys probably like it feels real. You feel like you're in a cave.
Oh, yeah.
Like it feels like when you get that first image of what the cave looks like, and you see the water, and you see how high those ceilings are, you go like, oh hell yeah, these guys, like this is real. This feels like
all the locations definitely add to the movie, because that could take you out of something like if it's clear like they're. If it's just like a room that's supposed to look like a big lodge, or
right, doesn't
like
work.
It's clearly not really a cave, and it's like styrofoam.
Beyond perfect, and
oh yeah.
Well, thank you.
I talked about this the last time, but it was like 25 below, and like I had like the dress that was picked out for me, and like no shoes or anything. So I brought like strappy sandals, and Adam's like, here, wear these socks with it. Like they were like teacher granny / like I was, no, I will freeze, but thanks. And I did. It was worth it because, even though you never see my feet, but I knew that they were good.
That's the director's cut.
It was, but yeah, it was such a great feeling to be in it the entire time. It was like method acting done for you kind of thing. So. And delusional sense of self is what I call like, because I have it myself. It's like, in order to like be like, I can do this. There's no like, well, maybe I can't. Well, what if I did? No, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to happen. Lots of people hate you sometimes, but then they end up loving you. So it works.
So you mentioned Topher a few times. So is that someone you've worked with previously?
Yeah, a little bit. He was in my original film, Ice Patrol, years ago, but that was just as an actor. We just continue to work more and more in this movie. He's in the movie. He plays Zach, which, he's one of the characters that's throughout the story. He kind of sprinkled in. Yeah, he's just he's a stickler when he's an AD. He's very much let's move on, let's move ahead.
He plays the part very well.
Yes, he definitely does. He's a very sweet man. Outside of being an AD, I promise. But he is one of the best I've ever met when it comes to like, one, he gives incredible notes. He's so good at notes. He will be honest with you. And also he is never, ever, ever trying to undercut the movie. He just wants to make the best damn thing there is. And when you tell him like, I believe in this idea, he goes, it's your movie. I totally understand. But he will just be honest and be like, I think that's dumb. And I appreciate that about him because there is nothing. When he says it, he says it because he believes it. It has nothing to do with his ego. It has nothing to do with him trying to take over a movie. It has nothing to do with any of that. And so we have this great working relationship, and to the point now where I feel comfortable coming out and being like, hey, I think we can cut this. he's like, wow, I'm surprised you want to cut it. And I'm like, I just think the audience already knows. And he goes like, yes, the answer is always yes if you can cut these things. And you know, Topher has scripts, and he sent them to me, and I beat the holy hell out of these things. I do. And then he goes like, more, like, tell me more. If I hate it more, like, what about this? Does this actually work? So it's a great working relationship that the two of us have. We both like a lot of the same movies. He's way more into horror than I am. Like, he's definitely up your guys' alley. That is his genre. He doesn't dabble in too many other genres. But he cares so much about story and efficiency of story. And it's always nice to have somebody like that in your corner. One is an editor, because he's incredible as an editor. He's also our colorist. He's also doing the VFX. And then we force him to be the AD, though he despises it. But he keeps us on track. So it's so great to have that, where, you know, I can sometimes get to be the creative person. I get to have conversations with the actors, and then he's just kind of making sure that he's the heartbeat of the movie and that we keep going forward, you know.
Oh, yeah. He's also very good at making sure that when you're older, you look filtered, because everybody would try to pretend that they weren't switching my positioning because it was just not a good angle at that time. I could look at Topher and I'm like, yeah, thanks. Like, no, good job. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, Victoria Mirror can't be here tonight, but she was going to try to be here, but she'll be on in the future. Now, I saw you've worked with her previously, Adam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Victoria's one of my favorite human beings in the world. I've worked with her for like 8 years now, or something like that. The only reason that she's not the biggest actress in the world is just because not enough people know about her yet. I can't say enough positive things. It's a bummer that she's not here. But the fact that you guys are getting her on is great.
She reached out when we first had you on, and I hadn't seen the movie yet. Obviously, it was
Sure.
like real secretive and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, that, you know, it's cool. We'll have you on. And then when I saw the movie, it's like, oh, she's the lead of the movie.
Yeah, she certainly is. I mean, you've seen her in the movie. She's unbelievable.
And humble, like the most humble, lovely person. Like, she's that mix, like humble, but yet nothing phases her. So she's not like, you know, like she's like an all encompassing. She's really cool and really talented.
Yeah, and then, you know, she does the things that are small but are great, which is like, she shows up on time. She always knows her lines. She studies. She asks questions. Then you add in that, like, she's a wonderful person, and she's like so incredibly funny. And the thing is, like, every time I cast her in something, I always go like, man, this is a big step up for her. And then she just like knocks me on my ass with her performance again. I could watch 2 hours of just her face, like, giving emotions, because she's somebody that draws out so many feelings in you, which is just by simply looking, or just a one line reading, or how she looks away at somebody, or anything like that. And it's like working with a damn wizard. You know what I mean? It's just like it's such a weapon, and I don't think she even understands how good she is, and that's probably for the best. And yeah, I really hope you guys can get to talk with her. She hasn't done a lot of these things, but I think that she'd be really great, and I want more people to know about her, because, my God, get this girl in every one of your damn movies. She's that good, you know.
I was surprised she let me, like, actually was very, very happy for me to, like, put her in, like, my video edits and stuff, because she is that person that's very like, no, like, you know, you guys first. And because her face is capturing, and so, you know, I'm trying, Adam. I'm trying.
It's not to disparage you at all, but yeah, no, I obviously I think the world of Victoria.
She's beautiful.
Yeah. Was she like in your mind when you're writing the character?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. You know, I had worked with her, like I said, for several other projects, you know, Everwinter Night and Ice Patrol and Carolina Shag. Originally, when I had the very first idea, it was when I was playing around with, it was like very loosely what this is. I wanted to do a cosmic horror. I really wanted to do something with a giant, you know, Lovecraftian-esque monster. And I had written, there's the character of Zach, played by Topher, which this isn't spoiling much. It's her partner in the movie. Originally, I was going to have Victoria play a set of twins, and that was my big goal, was to have her play those two. Everything kind of changed over the course of the story. But I started that idea 7 years ago, and every single time it was Victoria. And then, I still auditioned for the part, and because I was like, Victoria, this might not be for you. She read for it, and I went like, oh no, it was destined to be you. It has to be you. It's always had to be you. I sent it to all my producers, and I was like, I just want to reprove to you guys how unbelievable Victoria is. And they're like, oh yeah, it's her. So
yeah, she was flawless in it. She really was.
Mm.
Like, I can't imagine anybody else in that role.
She's great.
Not to get ahead of yourself, but will there ever be this the giant Lovecraftian monster movie down the road?
I can see you over there licking your chops. The hope is, of course, I think last time we were on, we were talking about horror and stuff like that. But what I loved about you guys is you guys just love movies. You guys love genres.
I like
Troy. I know you're a fantasy guy. We were talking all about Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff.
Yep.
I want to make I don't have a shortage of ideas. I don't I almost wish I did. It's amazing. You hear Tarantino be like, yeah, I'm just going to do 10. What do you mean 10? I've got 100 left in me, so like at the bare minimum. So would I of course I'd love to jump back to. Unfortunately, somebody already took the name of the movie. It was going to be it was going to be called Memoria, which was eventually was taken a few years back. But yeah, I hope to. Obviously the story would need to adjust because I took so many elements for Round the Decay. But yeah, hell yeah, I had started talking with my production designer about how we're going to do it, how we're going to do practical tentacles that were long enough to where they could pierce through people's chests, and we started the conversation.
Down with that,
Fingers crossed. You never know. I mean, I don't want to ostracize a bunch of viewers. I do want to take a step away from horror. Maybe the next one, just because I've done it a couple times now, and I want to go and I want to do fantasy, or I really, really want to do sci-fi. I love sci-fi.
Perfect. What are we doing next, Adam?
No, I don't know. I'm still trying. But I am always writing, and trying. I always have ideas. I'm working on a sci-fi thing, and then I'm working on something that's really grounded. And because I love dirtbag crime movies, I can't get enough dirtbag crime movies, and so I'm kind of jumping around. So hopefully we yeah. But Neal, just for you, I will try my best to make sure we get that.
All right. I think Melody can fit into any genre. So
Melody is actually going to play the Lovecraftian monster.
I didn't pay him that much because I'm not making a whole lot of money.
There we go.
He got a spare share from that and alone. I'm pretty addicted to like the evil character, like at this point. But I can be nice. I really can. Really, really can.
Well, I'm not saying you're a dirtbag, but the dirtbag crime movie, I could see you a villain in that. That would work.
Oh, it's actually interesting. I have and I'm that person who is embarrassingly can't pronounce his name correctly, but he's been one of my biggest fans for a long, during the times where people thought I was dead, because I fell off the face of the earth. There were like stories about like how I died in a car crash, and I'm like, really, about that? I must have been really like intoxicated at that point or something. But he's from Brazil, and he actually wrote a script called Stark Venom, and it's like I'm like the anti-hero, and I'm like a mafia child, trying to be good but really, really bad on the inside, and like this whole dichotomy, and so maybe let's say we'll do it for you, Neal.
All right. So Damien Maffei, how do you gonna say his last name? Maffei?
I think you're saying it right, Maffei.
All right.
Yeah.
He's been around for he's been in stuff for a while, but like this year he's got like 3 or 4 like big movies out there. So it's really cool to see him and stuff. And he's a good guy. Talk to him a little bit. He's gonna come on at some point.
Yeah, but, we talked about that last time. He was going to be coming on. Yeah,
and it's continued to he's going to be coming on.
Yes,
right. Maybe 2025 he'll be on. But he is a busy guy. But that role I think is perfectly cast for him.
Thank you for saying that.
In Round the
Decay. In Round the Decay, yeah, he plays Monroe. I don't want to spoil too much, but Damien, like I offered him the role, and then he called me and was like, "Can we talk about this guy?" because I just want to make sure I'm reading it right. And I said like, yeah. And then he said something I don't want to again spoil, and he went, okay, I was right. Okay, I understand what the character is. And I don't want to say that Damien hasn't had this before, because I watched him in a bunch of stuff. He plays a lot of masked guys, obviously Strangers Pray at Night and stuff like that. But I've seen him in a lot of independent stuff, and Damien's got like an all-time great voice. And so people take advantage of his voice in that way, and they kind of use him as this very powerful character. And I was like, I feel like Damien can be really fun, and a little bit funny, and a little bit poking fun at himself.
Yeah.
He owns it, you know what I mean? And yeah, and one of the greatest things was because Damien is, I don't know how much you guys know, but Damien is a movie watcher. This guy, he is an encyclopedia of knowledge, especially about horror movies. And he watched the movie, and I was sitting around going like, oh my God, if he hates this movie, we're doomed. And because he's been like, him and I had conversations about aliens, and I told him that I like the movie Alien Covenant, and I think he hates me now. And but afterwards he came up to me, and we talked a little bit, and then he texted me later, and he said he was unhappy that one line got cut, but he said otherwise no notes. So we felt really good about it. Yeah. And so he's really, really great. And then it's great that he's hitting right now, obviously, like Black Eyed Susan, which I'm really dying to see.
I loved it. Yeah.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah! It's shot on 16, right? And
we had Scooter on who directed it.
Yeah, and Damien told me, unfortunately to my face after reading Round the Decay, said that Black Eyed Susan's the best script he's ever read. And but it seems like he's having more. I think he was in Stream as well, and which I haven't seen yet. But like,
you haven't seen it, but yeah, I saw.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of this stuff because he's, like, one is that he's this horror icon now. He's kind of starting to be into these things, especially now with the video game as well. But he's really damn good at acting, and that's a huge part of it too. And he texted me again right after that when we were talking about those notes, and he said like, I'm ready for the sequel whenever you are. So it's great that he's having this time. We're going to support the hell out of him in his other movies too. We want other people to watch more of his stuff to get him into more stuff, because he's that good and he's that easy to work with. And then we're lucky enough that hopefully we're part of that little window now of good movies that Damien is having come out.
It's cool too, because he's much different in all these movies. I haven't seen Stream, but he's much different in this than he is in Black Eyed Susan. They're much different movies.
Sure. Well, but that just shows you what his range is. And I wonder, I'm always afraid of people that get kind of stuck in a horror genre, and then they have to be that one thing. And at least in horror, Damien is showing he's got range across that. So let's get him range across all movies, as long as he wants to be involved with it too.
When I saw him at the premiere, I like the second premiere. I was like, okay, yep. Like it just, there was so much support in everything, and because he is like the it guy right now, for him to be there meant like, okay, this is exactly what we all were hoping and thought it would be, and and it was really a great experience. And he definitely, we had a lot of like kind of inside banter, and there's like a scene which I can't, like, because Adam will kick me even though he's not next to me, but he will, like, through his mind. There's a moment where I kind of get to be like one-upping him in a sense that wasn't there before, and like, because just positioning was like switched or whatever. But Adam knows what I'm talking about. But we joked about that because it was like, that was like, I'm gonna end up on top, so he's fun, and he's very even keel, like at all times. Like, you could be like, okay, so the cabin is on fire, there's like aliens over here on like the right side, like about 50 miles away, like, and he's just like, okay.
Yeah, that's actually that's not a bad Damien. any bit of direction was always, I'd come up and be like, yep, she's gonna walk in, and then you're gonna sit down and just give me a couple beats, and then I want you to say line. And he always does, he thinks for about 2 seconds and then goes, yeah, okay. And that's every note you ever give him. He's just cool. He's just very cool.
It's true.
That's kind of his character in the movie, I think.
Yeah. No, it's certainly, maybe he was just embodying that.
Yeah.
No, I think he's a great fit for the character, and
he brought that character to life in such a
he really did.
He really, yeah. And him and Victoria together there was such a dynamic between the two of them that like nothing needed to be said. It's just really cool to watch that, because it's your vision coming like to life. And when it's more than what you even thought it was going to be, and you see it like in other actors, there's a sense of like gratification as a performer, like, oh yeah, they did that happened, and that we all feel it, and it was really cool.
So I don't want to spoil too much about the monster, but when you were writing the script, did you have like a specific idea of how it was going to look, and did that change at all?
Yes, I did. Because originally it was supposed to be a little bit of a different monster, a monster that actually we all know about. That was the first couple drafts of it. And then eventually we had conversations with a young Native American woman, and kind of learned more about what we shouldn't be talking about. And from there we went, you know what, this is a great opportunity to take the little ideas that we had from that and then expand on it. And you know what, let's make our own damn thing. When it comes to this, let's take the cool things that were part of that. Let's take our own. Let's create our own lore that kind of comes along with this. Let's not put ourselves in a box. And filmmaking, we have to put ourselves in too many boxes anyway. Creative boxes because of money, because of time, because of all this type of stuff. Yep. So let's just kind of create our own. And that was such a fun conversation to have, both in terms of look. You get somebody like Greg McDougall from Anomaly FX that he brings to the table. I can just be like, yeah, I think it would be cool if it was tall, and like that's about all I got, and then he starts sending you pictures, and you're like, oh my God, this is an artist. It's an artist. You're working with a real artist. So it was a back and forward with that, but so many times he would just come up and be like, I've been kind of thinking about this, and would send me some imagery, and I go like, this is so perfect for what we're already doing. So yeah, I had, it definitely expanded, and definitely changes, and it changes with, when we cast Rachel, of course, and it's like, what can she do? What she can do and what she can't do. You start thinking about that. Okay, and then you talk to her on the day, and we have a stunt coordinator there, and we're working out like, are you comfortable with this? Does it work with the suit? All these types of things, and then from there, as filmmakers, my job is to make sure that it works. Is going like, okay, well, she can't do that move because the suit goes a little bit too low. Okay, well then there better be an answer, and it's on me to solve that. And so, of course, it's this awesome collaborative experience, and we were able to kind of create this design. And then from there, it's always putting yourself in the best position to improvise off of that. And so I think that we did a solid job, and I think that we got to pay homage to a lot of the monsters that are inspiring and things like that, but also kind of create something that's very uniquely us and unique to the
it was genius, really. Like the casting of Rachel was like, I was like, damn, yeah, like just because it's a very unexpected but a very, very good way to like also spread the word of the film. And luckily she had a mom that didn't have kids with her, so she couldn't eat in her costume, so I microwaved her food for her, and I fed her, and let's just say like the people were pretty excited about that sometimes. So it was and she is like one of those people too that like, I love when nothing phases somebody, like like she's like whatever, and just no holds barred, and just really, really, really genuinely kind and fun. And I did tell her, I'm like, look, you're gorgeous, you're extremely talented, and you have a spark. If you ever let anybody take that away from you, well, I'll personally kill you. So like, it's just because she's she's special.
Yeah, and it was cool because, again, I don't want to give too much away, but a lot of monster movies, if it's practical, it's like a big hulking, guy in a suit. So it's cool to see a different monster.
Oh yeah.
Well, we wanted it, like, that was part of the thing too, is that the character I wanted her to be very feminine, and Rachel also, when I found Rachel, the biggest thing was, oh, okay, I can see that she's physical. She has a physical ability to move.
Yeah.
She's doing flips, she's doing these trampoline tricks, she's doing cartwheels, she's doing all these type of things. And then you look at her and you go like, I think she's got the longest legs I've ever seen. I think she might be really tall. And so, yeah, once I found out she's like, yeah, she's like 6 foot or 6'1", and I'm sure I'm probably speaking for the rest of us here. We're not tall people, and so but I also wanted her to carry herself with femininity, because that was important for the monster, and especially where the monster goes towards the end of the movie as well. And so I thought that was probably it had to be a female that was also over 6 feet, which is, there's not a ton. And so we got kind of lucky. And then, as Melody was just saying, like, Rachel is, she's 20 years old and she's very spry. Nothing really seems to get her down. Every single time you're giving her notes, she goes, yep, 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 yep. And so, yeah, no, luckily it wasn't, like you said, this hulking dude in a suit. We wanted to do something a little bit different.
I saw a picture of her and Victoria at I don't know what it was. It was at maybe one of the premieres, and I thought, is Victoria like super tiny? And then I realized, oh no, Rachel's like,
no, it's just
Rachel's very tall.
Yeah, like she loves doing like the her and I, like, because we're both. I mean, if I hadn't become like a social media person, like, that's really how I came back into the industry. Her and I both, like, we have a lot of fun with it. We'll run a camera on ourselves eating a French fry, and like, it doesn't matter, like, and so we do a lot of like the old young, the tall short. She gives the role, and Adam, don't kick me, I'm trying to be good, a vulnerability, which is like how she radiates that through. That's talent. Like, it's something. So that's my 2 cents, or 10 or 20.
So we want people to go see Round the Decay at the theater, because I think that's the best way to see a movie.
Oh, without a doubt.
And you mentioned, probably in January, but where would people like go to find that out, and keep track of any news about Round the Decay?
Yeah, sure. So, well, first of all, we do have a website, dreamscapeproductions.com. But best way is definitely keep up to date with us on social media. So Dreamscape Productions LLC on Instagram, same thing on Facebook, which is kind of our 2 main places. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to be doing pre-sale tickets relatively soon. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of perks for that. I know everybody here. Yeah, thank you. But I know a lot of people roll their eyes when it comes to pre-selling of things, because it's an effort. Everything is difficult to get people to do, but one is that it's really helping independent cinema. Like, getting these pre-sale tickets, not only will it help with the theater run that we have already, it's going to get us into more theaters. You get these cool perks that come alongside them as well. And we're very lucky because we've partnered with Adam Tickets in order to do this, to create these tickets. And so we're going with, Adam Tickets and Fandango are the 2 biggest ticket sites there are when it comes to online ticketing. And so we were able to get Adam Tickets. They're on board. Yeah, absolutely. And very soon, we're going to be announcing that we're going to be going on pre-sale, and anybody that wants to see this movie. And what's so cool about this is it doesn't matter where you are. You're not buying a ticket to a theater. You're buying a ticket voucher that's going to be good for almost any theater. Yes, and so we want to make, like, in order for this to really work, we got to get people on board for that pre-sale. But we think that this is a good opportunity to get this movie seen by more people. What Melody said, and Melody's a part of this too, is talking about people like Rachel, people like Roger Clark, who's in the movie, people like Damien, people like Victoria, is that if they care about this thing even 1/100th as much as we care about this thing, and they use their platform to get more people to go and see this theater, and you guys do as well, and everybody else that has seen it or is helping out with this. One, it just makes this movie big, and not only that, but when you go and pay to see this movie, you're also supporting other independent artists. You know, we want to make sure that, I think we all feel the same way about indie film, which is like, this isn't a competition, this is a brotherhood. And when we were talking about Terrifier, when Terrifier does well, we all do well. It's not against us. This is Terrifier doing well is the best thing that could happen for indie cinema, and the next best thing is Round the Decay doing well. And so we hope that people will take care of that pre-sale. Like I said, Dreamscape Productions, Instagram, Facebook.
And that's how you see more cool things, because if it does well, then you're able to make another one, you know, another movie.
Yeah, and I think that people are an audience. I've said this at a couple of my showings. It's like the audience is now telling you what they want, and we are tired. The audience, I'm talking about as part of them too. We are damn tired of seeing the same crap being produced over and over and over again. I you know, more power to some of these superhero movies, but like, we are speaking with our dollars. We're not interested in this as much anymore. And when people go to see Terrifier and it made $100 million at the box office, they are saying like, we just care about what this is. We want this. We want original stories. We want new characters. We want new things. And what's crazy is a lot of the studio system, which is always reactionary, was like, what do you mean this is what they want? Well, it's like, there's this hole. And I think original stories, I think I speak for you guys and the rest of the audience. Like, we desire these so much. And the only reason that an Art the Clown or anything like that ever existed is because the first one existed. It's because, you know, it's the same thing with these franchise things. It's, you know, like the Xenomorph is the coolest alien in history because of the first movie. Like, that's where it started. And so I think that people are starting to come around, and especially smaller budget movies, when we're able to make them seem like bigger budget movies now, people are looking at them and they don't care how much Round the Decay costs. They want to get in there. They want to see something cool. They want to see something that, whether it be a monster or whether it be a character looking at another character and feeling something, they just kind of want that.
Yep. Well, and
the last thing I'm doing at the movies is checking on the budget, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You
have no idea. Yeah, it's one of those things that you might talk about afterwards when you learn about the budget, and you might go like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, the only reason, like I bring it up for Terrifier, just it's like, you know, especially none of them will cost very much, you know, compared to something else. But the idea that something didn't cost very much and went on to.
But I mean, if we're going to see a flick, Neal,
I don't be like, let me look how much this costs before.
Like if it's a great movie, it's a great movie.
Yeah, exactly. And then what the thing is, when you see the smaller budget thing, and then you go like, wow, how did they do that for that dollar amount? It's really cool. And then every now and then you get that time where you're like, are you? That they spent $100 million on that movie? You know?
So true.
I mentioned this story a couple times on the show, but I was at a festival, a Freight Fest in London, and I was interviewing a guy who made this movie, and I was like, oh, you know, this movie looked great for, you know, low budget. And he was like, well, it actually cost $50 million. And I was like, what the hell? Like, then I'm thinking like, oh, it didn't look that great, I guess. I don't know.
And who and where did that go to?
Nowhere. I've looked it up. And like,
I've had a couple scenarios like that where someone has been like, I watched a movie and I thought like, I've been like, well, that was great for a $50,000 movie, and then they tell you the budget, and you go like, oh no, this is going nowhere. Yeah, it's a tough thing, because money is tough, and it can be spent in so many different ways, as we talked about when it comes to like, you know, the location, just housing the actors could have ballooned our budget, you know. So
and the timing was very difficult because number two, other Adam, I love you, other Adam,
he's watching right now.
It's hard to like, he dealt with the finances. Well, he'd never dealt with like us SAG people who like, where it is a, you know, that is where the beautiful thing started for this, and to set everything off and make Adam like the most famous person ever. But it's also like kind of like an, oh wait, they need that. And then you're dealing with SAG, which is an animal in itself. I'm part of it. So like I love you, friend. But it's, it's not easy because there's a whole set of rules that all of a sudden you're going, oh, and as an actor who, you know, like made the love of my life my manager, like by like, you know, 5 seconds, like, hey, you're my manager. Like, there are, it became, I felt terrible for him because it just was like, it was branching into SAG and like those of us that things, you couldn't just be like, okay, here's your, you know, here's your pocketbook full of like money for the you know, it's like, nope, you got to go through like 18 million people to get the actor their money. And, you know, you guys pulled it off beautifully. And, you know, it was a very, very good, like, experience for timing because, you know, if it would have happened 6 months prior, you know, I couldn't have done it, you know. So having like the union, not that I was like, you couldn't have me, no, but not that like the union, it was like a huge part of it.
Yeah, I
but
assume Damien probably couldn't do it either. I don't know about that.
that's exactly who I'm talking about.
Well,
Okay,
Damien is not SAG.
asses without trying to be a pain in the ass.
What do I know? Yeah.
You're always surprised as to who is and who isn't, and so many people. Well, the cool thing is that we're able to make SAG movies if we just work with the union, and so if anybody wants to take their SAG credit from there, they can, and they also don't need to. And like what Melody just said, like unions are good. I believe this. They protect workers, and that's huge. That's really important. It doesn't mean that they're not difficult to work with, mainly because of our ignorance. Really, it's just like we didn't really know how to work with them. Everything had changed since the strike. There's all new rules, all new pay rates, all this type of stuff. So when we had created the budget before, and then all of a sudden you start seeing the adjusted budget, and then you start understanding how much fees come out in terms of their healthcare and things like that. It becomes its own. It's a completely different animal in that regard. And like you just said, some people are SAG and some people are not. And that, I mean, that was what happened to our movie Everwinter Night, is that we got shut down. It was due to COVID, but SAG shut us down. And so we lost every one of our SAG actors. So yeah, we've experienced it before. I still think it's, you know, a necessary, I don't want to say evil, it's just a necessary thing that you have to deal with. We have to learn how to take care of it better. And I'd certainly say for anybody that is making a film, to study up and just make sure that you understand what their rules and regulations are.
But, you know, bonding with Adam / number 2, was very, very helpful because I was able to hear the side of like, I love you, I don't know what I'm doing. And, you know, but now everybody has, it's nobody knew what we were doing. Like at the right as the SAG strike, because it was like, it was over, but not over.
Yeah.
Kind of still is. And just having the bond with people on an independent set is so different than like a huge production company. Like there is, when you're, like I've said before, like when you're on a set, like, you know, Camp Nowhere and it's Disney. I mean, I never even had a full conversation with Christopher Lloyd in my life. And we were in the movie. If they don't want to be in it, they go to their trailer. Everybody's separated. If you want to talk to the director, you have to go through like 5 people that aren't usually very, very nice. And you can't text them in the middle of like him shooting and go like, do you think these earrings will be good for Teresa? That doesn't fly. But you know, the camaraderie, like I did makeup when I wasn't filming. Like everybody gets to be a part of it through the whole process. So nobody's ever feeling completely in the dark of like what's going on. And it reflects in the film. Like it's incredible, the difference, you know, having experienced both. This is the time for independent films. Like people are sick of like the same old shit and not, you know, like everything. Watching some movies, like you could tell it was all about like who got paid enough to be there. Like what everything is very like almost segregated looking
Mhm.
when you watch it. And when you watch an independent film, at least now working on one, I know that like somebody like, Jamie is doing the clicker. My husband in the movie was also like what is that called?
So he was running Slate. He was also the second AC when he wasn't working. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When he wasn't acting. Yeah.
I just like he's the guy with this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like
The
that.
clacker is what I used to call it.
Clacker.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's been like this last year some really wild movies that people have been going to see in independent film. I know it's kind of a broad thing where some of the independent films are still a few $1 million, but they are like still a much smaller budget than like a giant movie. And like The Substance is like still a fairly big budget, but it's very weird, a very unique movie. So like you said, people just want to see new and creative and different things now.
Yeah, especially because like The Substance, is obviously in kind of in that horror realm as well. And yeah, it's a big budget movie by like our standards, but
Mhm.
in comparison to, especially because basically what has happened in the studio system is it's like that you have giant tent poles and then you have basically independent movies that are kind of $10 million and under, kind of like the Blumhouse special.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm guessing The Substance was probably somewhere in between. It's one of those things that's getting close
Yeah.
to the mid-tier budget. But when you're at a lower budget level and you're independent and the resources now, everything's cheaper, at least in terms of the technology and stuff like that, you can make cool stuff with that, and you can have an audience buy into it, which is so cool. And you're right, like I can't stand when people talk about like, oh, film's in a bad place. You're just not watching the right stuff. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
agree
man.
100%.
Like, what the hell are you talking about? I've seen so many damn good movies this year.
Yeah,
You
just
know?
this year alone, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of weird stuff like Long Legs. Like that made
Oh,
the
yeah.
most ever for that
Long
company.
Legs blew my mind. I love that
Ooh,
movie.
okay.
We talked about it last time, and I hated it.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan either, but I like
But
that
I'm
it
happy it
did well.
exists.
Yeah,
I'm happy it exists. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Well, because people are taking shots and stuff like that. I will never see The Substance. I've been told it's a little bit too gross for me. But like, I'm
It's
very
definitely very
happy.
gross. Yeah.
We have
but
to
like,
protect Adam.
what was that?
Scary stuff. We have to protect Adam from.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I like when it comes to some of the gross stuff. I can't.
Well,
do
Melody
it.
will she'll cover your eyes at some point.
Yes, yeah.
But there's been what you just said is so true, and I think that like the studio system, I think that a lot of like the Marvel thing, we kind of understand that it's falling apart, and so they have to have answers at this point, and some of them will continue to make duds and things like that. But I think that there are really interesting movies constantly being made, whether it be from really interesting, artists who are able to get a little bit more money for their projects in the horror realm, and also what you do to branch off of the horror realm. Like The Substance is a horror movie, but it's also sort of not, from what I understand. It's a weird
sci-fi. There's a lot of
Yeah.
social commentary in there. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
which is what I love about genre, is that genre has always been such a great place where you can talk about so many different things.
Yeah.
And I think it's been kind of sidelined for some silly reason. It's kind of not treated as prestigious or whatever as dramatic films, which is just so silly.
Yeah, it's funny because even the Golden Globes, like they nominated The Substance and Heretic, but they put them in comedy musical, and I'm like, they're not comedy.
Did you even see this?
Yeah. It's even more proof. Like I also think that like just get rid of the categories when it comes to genre. They're movies. They're movies, and every year we hear the same thing, and I know people are upset about it, and it's just going to be what it is right now. But they're right, which is like when Mia Goth did Pearl, everybody's like she should be nominated for this thing, and it's really just because she's in a horror movie that she's not. And it's like, yeah, let's just ignore the idea. Like, is it a good performance? Is it a good movie? Is it any of these things? Also,
the actress in your horror film, and it just mix matches like everything.
Yeah, but all, like I say we try to keep it as genreless as possible and stop making it seem like there's any lesser. And I think I've probably talked to you guys last time about my frustrations with what is it that they call the
elevated
horror? We did, because there's no such thing as elevated horror. There's just horror and all the degrees in between, and just let the good things be good things. But also at the same time, when these Golden Globe nominations come out, let's not get mad about people that didn't get nominated, because if they didn't, then The other person would be, they're just awards.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Right.
Usually, like for the Academy Awards, if a horror movie is nominated, then it's suddenly a thriller. It's a thriller.
Yes,
It's no
that's
longer
very
horror.
true. Like,
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Get out. Yeah, lots.
Yeah, no, very true. Very true.
Probably everyone that you
Right.
can think of. Yeah.
Right.
I think the four of us all can agree that like we're genre-less like people. Like everybody's always trying to be like let's label. Like, there's no like all over the map. And and that I'm take complete accountability for that, and I'm fine with it. And that's what makes people interesting and so then when you're watching a film and it's coming from somebody's mind that had a thought, and that thought like escalated into a production that you're watching, like that's the magical part. And every person who's involved took a piece of that thought and brought it to life. And so that I think that is really, it's really hard to vote on that too. So that's why it's interesting to watch like award shows or whatever, but because I've also voted, and I've also ixnayed voting because I don't watch shit. The kids think I'll watch like 5 minutes of something, so I'm like I can't like not vote for something because I haven't watched it, and then this person just missed out on their accolades because
Right. Yeah. That's not fair.
and I'm like it's this movie and this movie now. So that was my.
I mean, I like watch those things just because I grew up watching them, but at the same time, does it really mean that much to me? Not really. It was just kind of a fun thing to watch.
I agree, and also like what is great about award things? We're going on such a tangent here, but like, what is really great about some award shows is that like they introduce audiences to
that's I always talk about. Like I grew up watching Siskel and Ebert, and I didn't always agree with them, but it was pre-internet, and they would talk about movies that I wouldn't know about otherwise. So, and some of them they didn't even like, but I was like, oh, that looks like something I'd probably like. So, I would want to check it out.
When I really started getting, because I was originally wanted to write novels, and then it was plays, and then once I really got into making movies in I was 19 or 20, I went through all the old Ebert and Roper and Siskel and Ebert, and was just going through and being like, I need more stuff to watch. So I was just hoping, and they would do this thing. They were so good because the two of them were ruthless, and they would they would talk about movies and in such a way, and it'd be like, wow, I'm really interested. Yeah, they might not like the thing, but I'm actually kind of interested in what that thing is. So I kind of agree when it comes to that. And there's when Moonlight won Best Picture years ago, everybody was like, what? I didn't see this movie. It's like, now's your chance. They just talked about it. Now you can watch the movie, and the movie's beautiful. So watch the damn movie and then make your own opinion off of the thing. I always hated when people would be like, well, nobody saw that movie. This is your chance now. Now you know it exists. So please check it out.
That's always driven me to want to watch it more. Like you tell me somebody's like, oh, don't that person's blah blah blah. I'm like, perfect. That's my new best friend. Like, that's but at least you knew that they actually watched the stuff and they had their craft, their passion was dissecting it, all that, not really trying to sway anybody, but just exude their own personal feelings about watching something. And and that's why, like, for me, I couldn't not do that for like my fellow family of like creators. It's like I can't be like, yeah, that was the best movie ever. When was that again? Like,
so. Yeah, it's kind of like I'm still trying to wrap my head around like elevated horror. It's like never heard that about anything else. Like It's an elevated science fiction
Thank
film.
you.
Like,
Thank
you know,
you.
The
like, why?
elevated
Because Ray
drama.
Bradbury wrote it, or
Yeah.
what's elevated? I don't get it. You know?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Or this elevated musical or something.
Yeah,
Nobody says that
it's so
about anything
demeaning
else.
to any horror movies
It is.
before,
Thank
like
you.
the last 5 years. It's like everything before this was just some mindless,
Just
like
shit.
people
But,
were
you know,
just killed. And there
it's
was no
elevated.
story, and like
Well, especially all these directors that are directing elevated horror. They're the people that were obsessed with those movies that weren't
Yeah,
considered
right.
elevated,
Yep.
and that's what they're doing is that they're taking, I mean, that's what we all artists are. We're thieves.
Yep.
We're just taking the things that mean something to us and then trying to reassemble them in some type of way. And so you're right. It is, first of all, it's calling horror a lesser genre. This is
Yeah.
not
like
the
don't worry, this is horror, but this one is
this-
smarter.
oh,
than
okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
no,
right.
it's, and also like when you say elevated horror, most of the time it just means you think you're just saying it's boring. Like,
Or really
it's
pretentious, one or the other.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Which is like what
A pretentious horror movie.
well, there's so many things that are like that, and it is so or they claim to be that. It's so unfortunate because it does denigrate this genre
yeah.
that
And it
is,
honestly puts me off of wanting to watch the movie if
of
it's
course.
like
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
like, and it might be great, but I'm like, I just hate
It
that
instantly
term.
Yeah.
says ego, ego, ego,
Yeah.
ego.
Without a
ego,
doubt.
money, money, ego, money.
Well,
like
but
you
Oh,
know.
I think it's
remember when we went to see Mother, and like we hated it, and like everybody's answer
I
was,
like Mother.
it's just it's far beyond your grasp.
Yeah. If you
It's
don't like
way
it, you
too
didn't
highbrow,
understand. I was like, no,
It's like,
I
oh, okay,
understood it.
I got it.
Fine.
Still thought it was pretentious and dumb, but
That is so fair, and that's what it kind of became. Is that like it, and especially because it's a term that's probably been thrown around by some particular types of cinephiles that always looked at horror in some lesser view, mainly because they didn't like it. And when you don't like something, you tend to think you're better than it. And so often,
Oh, yeah,
I've been trying to eliminate saying that a movie is bad. I've been trying to get it out of my vocabulary just to say like, oh, I didn't like it, because it's a
Right,
very
right.
different thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not making an objective decision about this movie. It's a subjective thing. Every one of these things are subjective, and
Oh,
it's like I have to do that to free myself of when it comes to bad reviews of my own movies and being like,
Right.
oh, it's just not for them. That's totally okay.
I know
I
that
don't.
feeling, by the way.
Yeah, well, I don't. I just we talked about Longlegs, and Neal, you said you didn't like it, and Troy,
No,
you really
Troy's
liked
a
it.
fan.
I
Yeah.
loved
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And, yeah, and but the thing is, like, you guys are brothers, right? And like you guys,
Yeah.
and you guys agree with a lot of things. You guys are on a podcast for horror. You agree with
Yeah.
everything, and then you completely are split with this. Taste is so weird. I hate The Shining. I think we talked about this. Me and Troy
Oh,
both.
Troy,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm a huge fan.
That's where we
Yeah.
hit,
Me
like,
and Melody
the
are pro
top row
Shining
and
here.
then
Yeah.
over on the right here.
Right.
I mean,
and,
I
like,
lived in the
Taste.
Shining for like so I mean it really did have that vibe. And then somebody told me like, oh, that's because the architecture is like from the same person that did the hotel for the Shining, which just made me so much more excited because anything eerie, creepy, like
Oh yeah.
whatever. And I saw a bear, by the way. I don't know if I told
Oh,
There's
Yeah,
bears up there.
obviously, like I do
Yeah.
enjoy smoking, and I went out when I was not. Everybody's like, "Don't go out there at like 3 a.m. because there might be bears." And I'm like, "Ooh!" And yeah, and she was trying to get into like
the
the
garbage.
yeah, and she
Yeah.
looked at me like, "Hey, can you help me?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, sorry, I
You just open the pantry for me, and I'll be out of here.
Yeah, she was. She was like, "Hello, can you?" And I'm like, I mean, I really would. I'm at a loss, but yeah, and it did have a very like the hallways that we were in were so fucking long
Mm.
that you really were expecting like red rum at any moment, which I loved. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm pro Shining as well. So Team Shining and Team Anti Shining over here.
You know,
But we can still
I
get
don't want to. A big part of the reason why I don't like The Shining, why I've tried to diagnose this, right? Because I didn't see it until I was about 30, and so that's a big part of it. And I had seen it done on The Simpsons, so like everything about it is not scary
Oh,
anymore.
okay.
I've seen it parodied 1,000 times, and I've seen the red rum, and I've seen it's the Shinnin. You don't want to get sued by Willie, groundskeeper Willie. And so once that happens, it's kind of difficult to come into this movie thinking that it's going to be really, really scary. I also saw Doctor Sleep before I saw The Shining.
Oh, weird.
So
Oh,
yeah, so like there's just so much of a movie as well. I think that we all fail to recognize is like where you're at that time when you
Yeah,
see that
definitely.
particular
Oh,
movie.
so
You know, I
true.
saw Ghostbusters when I was 29, and I hated it. I
Yeah,
hate that movie.
Sorry.
And so,
like,
but then you see something when you're a kid, and you know you latch onto it, and you latch onto it for life, and then
But not
there's-
always. I think I was 16 when Ghostbusters came out, and I hated it then.
you did.
Yeah, Troy's never been a Ghostbusters
No,
guy.
I'm
You know,
not a fan.
Troy, I think you're all right. You're all right in my book.
You see, we were like the art punks too. Like we were like Picasso's the man,
Yeah.
fuck Van Gogh, and so like, we would wear that.
Let's go cut off our
It's
Arab
gradually worn off over the years, but there was a time when it was like, all right, them's fighting words.
Sure.
I love that.
Mm.
Carrie, who is in the film, and he's a very, very he has an air about him too that is just art to the core. Him and I had an evening where we just kind of told our whole life story and stuff, and he was very anti social media, very like it's you're either like to the core or it's like a little bit of fluff, and I looked at him and I was like, well, I wouldn't be sitting next to you if it wasn't for the internet and for social media. I'd be dead in a car crash that supposedly happened in 2000. So it's very interesting, and he's just absolutely amazingly talented in the film, and it was like interesting to see him like kind of go, okay, yeah, you know what, that kind of change, because like I'm not like 19 and spry and like, yay, I'm here because my social media, it was, yeah, like I didn't know shit from Shinola, like when it came to anything with social media until my fiance. So like I didn't even know I still existed, had a fan base, like anything, because I was like changing diapers and driving like 18 kids around for like 17 years. So it's interesting when like the worlds kind of right now have to collide, these two worlds of like, okay, you're over here because you're horror and you're low budget. This is our grandiose like film and everybody's going to see it because we put a lot of money into it. Actors that didn't really want to do it, but we paid them a bunch of money to be in it. To kind of get to see like those worlds not collide but yet combine. It's a pretty good time.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
Honestly, it makes I really like the movie anyway, but the fact that like as you're saying there, like you haven't been part of them, you were away from movies for years, and that now you come back, you're in a movie, it really like reinvigorates your love of acting, and all of that makes me really want to see the movie do well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a good story that's out there.
Thank you.
Todd, who does our reviews, Todd Quality Jaeger. And yeah, Melanie knows Todd. Eager to see this film.
Well, Todd, let me tell you, we're going to be doing this pre-sale on tickets. So, please. I've been looking at the chat as it's going, and I hope that you guys all do check out the movie. Neal was lucky enough to have seen it, and he seems to at least sort of enjoy it, or he's doing.
No, I really like
job.
it. Yeah, no, I dug it.
Thank you. And,
yeah, I like. Honestly, like the monster is really cool, and I like that. I think everyone's not necessarily everyone's likable, but I think it's good characters throughout the movie.
Yeah,
that you're interested in, you're invested in.
Thank you very much. Again, I can't stress enough how lucky I am. One, to work with some people like Melody, but like Melody brought up Carrie and Rachel and Victoria and Damien, and because we have the biggest cast in the history of the planet, I could go on and on and on forever. But no, we're very, very lucky. Right. But I think that what's cool about Round the Decay is that it has a bunch of stuff for everybody. I think it's got some cool kills. I think it's got a cool monster. I think every now and then it's got a laugh. It's got a whole bunch of characters. And if you don't like one character, in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, we're going to switch over to another character, and you can hang out with them for a bit. So I'd like to think it's a good horror movie, but it's also kind of like a team up adventure movie, something like Monster Squad or something like that. You know, so I think it's got a lot for everybody. And so thank you, Todd, for saying that. And I hope that you check it out, as well as the rest of the people. And I see Melody's fiance is in the chat as well.
Yeah, he's. Oh, are you? Like,
Yes.
I'm not reading any of this. He's right up there. No, he's embarrassed. I said that.
It,
Oh wait. Oh wait. Oh, there he is.
You know, I think Melody, you were. By the way, we're streaming on multiple platforms, so it's the people saying stuff on Facebook I can't pop up on here, but I appreciate wherever you're watching it. But if you want to interact with everybody, YouTube's the best place. But Michael says, yeah, indie film is the new norm, in my opinion. Big ticket films seem to fall short. Poor storylines that are slapped together and rushed are becoming very apparent.
I paid him to say that too, but
I think
money well spent.
I think Michael has it right to a degree. I mean, I don't want to make big general statements, but when it comes to a lot of bigger movies, they're run by financial folks, and people that are making indie stuff are people that give a shit about movies and give a shit about stories. I don't know about you guys. You guys seem to love movies and potentially making them as well. But like the only thing I really think about, the first thing I think about when I wake up is story. That's it. And then when I go to bed, I'm too excited to fall asleep because I'm thinking about stories, or I'm too anxious because I'm thinking about how badly I need people to see the story we just made. So I think the indie level is kind of where you're getting a lot of original ideas, and you're getting a lot of people that are obsessed with the movies. And when you're obsessed with something, that means you watch it, and when you're watching, you're studying and you're adding things, and so that you can use them later. And so we're repackaging all this old art. And you know, whenever you watch Round the Decay, you are watching Round the Decay, which is a creation of me and these lovely artists, but at the same time, you're also watching a creation of all the thousands of films that I've seen and have influenced me, whether it be positive or negative. You know what I mean? So I think Michael, he worded it way quicker and better than I did, but I think he
thank you.
Yeah,
he was my instantaneous manager on the spot. It's like, here, make me sound cool. That I know what I'm talking about, because I have no idea. But yeah, he's and just the experience of being with somebody who you know had never actually been a manager before, and he actually is, you know, he brought to me like technology, and I'm a nerd, so like my inner nerd got to like really progress. You know, I knew from the moment I ever heard him say like, well, I don't want any drama, and I'm like, oh yes, he wants drama. He just doesn't want it. Like, he wants drama. But he, you know, he's a visionary. He has scripts, like things that you would never ever expect. And like Adam is somebody who actually kind of brought that out for him as well. And it's that's another thing. It's just the development of life throughout this experience, the things that have happened and haven't happened, and the film, you know, it reflects that when everybody's involved. And you know, and Adam made sure that there was no intimidation, there was no like, you know, this person's here and don't contact me about anything, and you know, unless it's crucial. I bet he regrets that, but anyway. But yeah, just really, you know, I'm forever grateful, and just forever an indie girl. So
glad to hear it.
Yeah. So Round the Decay. I want everyone to go. When we have more information, we'll put up the link for everyone
Thank you very much.
for the pre-sale on the tickets. I'm interested about the perks on these too, so that's cool.
Oh, good.
And I know Todd. We can't say where, but Todd works for a theater company, so hopefully he can get out there.
Todd, you should hit me up afterwards.
Don't worry, I'll text you at like some like bizarre hour of like the day or night, like randomly, something that you're like, what? What do you what? What are you?
Now Annabelle gets mad at me about that. I can't be here tonight. She's like, she mutes my
I love
my
her. I want to meet her in person. So that
yeah,
don't get me wrong.
she mutes my texts like after a certain hour. But
don't give Adam ideas. He doesn't. God.
I don't really have. I don't even think about what time it is. It's just all relative to me. I'm awake, so I assume everyone else is. Yeah.
I know. I was like, so what is she doing? Is she like?
I'm not sure. I think
like,
there's some kind of a holiday thing with her family tonight, so she can be.
Oh,
I'm not positive.
By the way, like she's so good at what she does. You guys are so great, like the chemistry and everything.
She actually reached out to me after the last show that we had, and said that she'd like to work on our sets at some point, and that's like
nice.
It's one of the nicest things that anybody can say, because the biggest, I would like to make great movies. That's one of my biggest goals. But the most important thing is that we create a cool environment where people want to come and hang out. That's far more important than making anything good. So yeah, that was very nice of Annabelle to reach out, and I hope that she gets to see this, and I hope we get to meet up at some point.
Oh, she had not seen it yet?
I know that she got sent a link, didn't she?
Yeah, I think she did, but I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure she did. Yeah.
That's why she didn't come on the show. She didn't want to have to face us.
Although she might have a better poker face, I don't know.
Women usually do.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm not very good at it. Paying me like money to like have a poker face, but but is she an actress? Has she ever worked in film before?
No, but she's gonna be in our movie Arbor Day. Yes.
Arbor Day, let's go. Okay, when is that being filmed?
This spring.
This
spring is the plan.
Hell yeah.
You need a middle-aged villainous woman in it. You just write her in. Put me. I'm happy to be there.
I do got to say really quickly that I did watch. I don't know how to pronounce your short's name.
Umbilicus Desidero. Oh, thank you for playing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we played it at our little showing, and I have to tell you, I was sitting with other Adam, my good buddy, as Melody has brought up. He was sobbing with laughter at your guys' movie. So like, I just want to say that we thought it was. I hadn't watched it yet. I took it and I was like, I'm going to watch this at the screening. I'm just going to make sure it gets there. And it's awesome. I just think your short is so good.
Thank you. I
appreciate tremendous in that one.
Very
I do a good job crying at the end, though. Give myself a pat on the back for that one. I think our mom steals the movie, though.
No, she's very good. She is.
Yeah.
I do have to say that, like, you clearly have watched a lot of documentary style things, because you get it so pitch perfect. And other Adam and I have such a deep love of these type of things, because I'm obsessed with sports documentaries, 30 for 30s, and I constantly will just make they're incredible, and then so much so that like you can parody them very easily. So we do it constantly with everything. And when yours came on, and I think there's one part, I think you're like running your hand through leaves, and I started just crying with laughter because it's all time. It's so dead on, and it's so perfect. And the only way it could be so perfect is because you clearly watch a lot of them. Watch it; it's great.
It's only 4 minutes. I'll send it to you.
It's awesome. It's a really great, and you get in and you get out. You don't faff about for 20 minutes. You know exactly what you're doing.
That would be good for me.
Right.
Just real quick, the backstory was I was very sick, and I actually had several surgeries. Part of my colon removed, a lot of bad things.
Sure.
And one of the things after that was I don't have a belly button. And my friend Michael Epstein,
wait, this is actually true, by the way. You don't have a belly button.
Okay. I made Neal in a laboratory, 40 years ago.
And so Michael's like, let's make a documentary about that. And I thought he meant like an actual documentary. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So we were at I was recovering from the surgery. I wasn't in great shape. And so we were at a festival in Boston. Oh, you probably know Boston Underground Film Festival.
Of course, yeah.
And so we started like shooting, and I wasn't really sure what he wanted. And then when he was like, no, play it just really straight. And then so I knew exactly what he wanted. And so none of my stuff scripted. I just made up a bunch of stuff. Like for about a half. It's about a half hour in my mind, and then we whittled it down to what you see, and then we just went around while we were at the festival and just filmed some like visual stuff to put into it.
Nailed it.
I was really happy with it.
I was very pleasantly surprised. It was one of those, whenever someone gives you a short, you always have that, like, your heart skips a beat. And you're like, what's going to happen if I don't like this thing? And then, like, how do I explain to them that I didn't like it? But I'm being serious. And other Adam just commented in the thing as well. He said the film was amazing and that he loved it. And because afterwards we were like, that's one of the best shorts that was there by far. So I just wanted to
thank
compliment
you.
John on that.
I feel terrible I couldn't get
All
there.
the little bits too, like when Jim McDonough shows off his navel and then points at Neal and kind of laughs. I think that's the greatest.
It's pitch perfect. That's really what it is. Like, you really have an understanding of how that genre works, and then you guys, and the fact that you played it so straight. If you played it winking at the audience, that does not work at all. It becomes insufferable. And so you just like do it right down the lens, and it's really impressive stuff. So
at the, not just keep talking about me, but so I have some awards here behind me for that. But the at some festivals it won funniest, and at a couple it was up for and won just best short documentary. And I'm like, I don't know if they think, if they don't, I think they just think it was a real documentary.
Just go with it. Take the sympathy.
Yeah, sure. Cool, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's deserving of both. How's that?
Yeah. And so then I play myself then in the Once and Future Smash, which I made with the same people, which is also a mockumentary.
I'm looking forward to watching that. I am going to watch it.
You got to check it out.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you guys make movies. It's so cool to get to talk to podcasters. I'm really glad that you guys are doing. And then everything that I see from Arbor Day, and I got to talk to you more, Neal, about the 8-bit stuff, because I think that's cool art. Yeah, I love that. I'm such a big fan of 8-bit video games.
Yeah, and here's some stuff and practical effects stuff that Troy here has made.
Oh, hell yeah.
By Neal Golem. That's all the things that have been removed from Neal. And
the belly button.
To visit him. Yep.
That's so cool.
14 inches of my colon. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, we're going to have to steal you, Troy, as well.
Yeah, Troy retired earlier this year, and I immediately put him to work. I was like, you got to start making stuff now.
Yep. So I've been making all kinds of weird stuff. It's been fun.
Oh, hell yeah. Nice. Very nice.
Have you seen it, Troy?
Have
you seen Round the Decay yet?
Oh yeah, yep.
We did.
I can't. Again, Adam will kick me, but like my special effects that are like I assume you probably like you should see it in person. It's let's say still attached to a coat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it and I will tell you, I was like above, while they were doing they worked like 24/7, like to make the special effects, to make like there's such artistry in that I think people don't quite get how intricate, like it's just as intricate as like having the vision of the film, like their vision of like a body part is takes hours, because it's got to be like it was an amazing, because I've never worked in horror before, so to see the work that's put into it is amazing.
I have a new appreciation for all that stuff, because when you do start making it, things that seem like they'd be pretty straightforward, you start messing around and you're like, oh my God, this is a lot of work. You just never know.
Unless it's an AI, and that is why I have to make sure that those kind of happen, because
then sometimes you make 12 feet of small intestines.
Nice.
And it's a lot of fun.
And we have a video of us using that as jump rope. Yeah.
And you can tell that Neal and I have never jumped rope before, because we have it about 10 feet up in the air.
And definitely never jumped rope with intestines before.
Yeah, that's true. That was a new one too.
There's a genre for that.
That's it. That's in my search engine here.
Neal's My Only page. He's got some of that.
Well, that's how we fund the show here. So, Round the Decay. It's great. It's really fun. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there. We talked all about it. We really like it, and I really want people to go see it.
Thank you.
And
I
we'll
want
put
to see it on the big screen now. I'm
Yeah,
so
exactly.
excited for that.
Yeah, I hope that you guys do, because I think it's it's obviously cool on a small screen, but that, especially this type of movie, and we have it in the 5-1 surround and all that type of stuff. It's really a different experience when you do get to watch it. And you get to watch it with an audience too, even if you've seen it, and seeing how
It's
an
always the
audience
best,
reacts to it. Yeah, it's quite a feeling. So yeah, I hope you guys do get to check it out in the theater as
Yeah,
well.
100%. And I think I always say the big screen, but I do think the sound is overlooked sometimes in the theater experience because, you feel the movie.
Yeah.
And unless you're like an ass and you take out your phone and start doing stuff, you can't escape from the movie. It's there.
By the way, thank you for saying that. I despise people that touch their phones during a movie.
Except when they're filming you. Okay.
Well, like it is like every single frame. I have thought about this movie so much, and so like every single frame is giving you a new piece of information. That is the goal. Every single time we cut, it is the only reason we are cutting is to give you something else. And so, if you're going to use your phone, first of all, there's a special place in hell for you. But if you use
Unless
your phone and then afterwards you say like, oh, this movie wasn't very good, you don't get to say it anymore.
Exactly,
it's over.
exactly.
You have
You weren't paying
forfeited your
attention.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
Because
always feel guilty if I have to go to the bathroom during
I do
a
too.
movie, It's like,
oh
dude,
God, this
I'm
work.
sorry up there. Just
Sorry.
pause for a second. I'll be right back.
I feel the same way. You try to do the thing where you just hold it for as long as possible, and then you start calculating. You're like, based off of what I know about cinema and all
my
of
God.
history, this is probably the best spot to do it, I think. And then you try to make the rush, and then you come back and you've missed the most important plot.
Or when you have little kids and like 4 of them, and you're like, okay, so she's gonna want to go to the
Oh
bathroom.
God.
Oh no, I never thought of that.
Yeah, because the amount of time we're gonna sit all the way at the end on the floor, because that way, like we can,
The quickest
we don't
way.
interrupt anybody.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Dave. You could get that tattooed on your body, please. Yeah.
I missed some of these. Michael X wants to know, did you place any Easter eggs in Round the Decay?
Did I place any Easter? I mean, there's little things that are like calls to our other movies, and then there are definitely quotes. There are lines that are either pointing at something or almost directly taken from something, from things that I love, especially. Some things that have nothing to do with the particular movie. In some of these cases, there is something I don't want to. There's a scoreboard in the movie, which, if you pay attention to, gives away something. That's all I should really say. It's very tough to see, but there was something that we did a fun thing with it. But like I said, it's just barely tucked away in the background. And then, like I said, there's quotes from. I'm a big video game player. I play a lot of story-based games, and every now and then I'll sneak in a quote from a video game that I really, really enjoy.
And Todd, thanks. I feel giddy when filmmakers say my name.
I love it.
It's like an ASMR thing, isn't it?
Gonna have that on a loop now.
Oh, good. Michael's been paying attention. This is good.
There you go. Perfect. I sent Adam a text like before we were filming, and I sounded extremely like, in tuned with like the Poetic Society, but I knew where Round the Decay came from, but that was because of my stepfather, or my dad. I call him dad. He's my dad. Keith. He was like, "Go tell Adam." Like, and so like I took credit for it for about 5 seconds, and I was like, "Okay, but no, I don't actually know." It's like it was my dad, but but it's a very if you do ever read the poem, it makes the movie even creepier, so it's good.
I actually didn't know about this, so I'm gonna go and look this up after.
Oh, you don't know the poem?
No.
Oh yeah, it's a fairly famous poem. It's very short, by Shelley, and it's called Ozymandias.
Yeah.
And which is where the name from. I don't know if you guys are big Watchmen fans.
Yeah. I'd say what I thought of immediately when you said that.
Yeah, that's where the character comes from. Is because of that saying. It was one of those things, like the original title was not Round the Decay. It was That's Just the Off Season. So that was the working title for the movie. And then we ended up basically what ended up happening. There's a speech in the movie, which I hope you guys remember, that happens at the ice arena. And originally, when I was doing the first draft of writing it, I didn't know what. I just kind of knew the gist of it, and I literally just took the poem and I put it in there because it's like, just need to put that in there for right now. And then I continued on because I'm somebody that needs to kind of vomit things out and I just need to move on to the next thing. And then I came back around and I started like, because I was like, this poem is really, really thematically rich. And I think it's tied to a lot of the stuff that's going on in this thing, especially with how this particular character feels about things. And then just kept, and the speech ended up being very different, but I couldn't get that out of my head, and I ended up talking to other Adam, who's probably still listening, and I said, I'm thinking about calling it Round the Decay, and he was like, that's the name of the movie, and you don't get to change it.
That's
so
beautiful.
Yeah.
And a shout out for Jamie Default because that
speech.
Well, and also like the fact that like I'm a cradle robber, whatever that was called. He's like,
you guys are closer in age than you'd think. He's somehow able.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
Yeah,
like,
he's
and to me that speech is like the ice arena scene was.
Don't spoil too much.
For me, it was very. It gives you chills. And his ability to, if you watch the other films that he's done, to really portray without like walking around like a method actor, like to really be able to capture it with that. Like him and I never talked about our scenes before we filmed at all. Like we just were, like banter and joking, and I picked on him, and that's what I do to people I like. And he brings like something to every like line that he does that really makes you think about the character, and you don't even see aesthetically Jamie anymore. You really feel like this entity that he's capturing for the writer. And he was and he kept me warm when my toes were freezing because I couldn't wear ugly socks with my shoes. But his ugly purple sweater that was just perfect.
That is a fantastic purple sweater.
Oh my God. It's bonded us for life. It really has. Oh.
Very good. Well, this has been really fun, and you're both there. Always welcome back anytime, and we'll have you back. Whenever, and we'll have some more people from the cast coming on for Round the Decay.
Yay.
And where can people follow you, Melody?
I'm Melody K44 on Instagram. That's probably my biggest following. And then Facebook. No, I'm sorry. I had to use my legal old name with it in order to get verified or whatever. So it's like, I think Melody K Berry or for Facebook. And then I'm also Twitter, Threads, which like is very new. And then I really need to step up my game. Like I've got a YouTube channel that I've never, like my kids shit is like on it. Like it's like Roblox and well,
that's fun. Yeah.
I'm working on that, but
right.
Yep.
And Adam, we went over where to follow Round the Decay. How about you yourself? I
do the stuff. I'm Instagram. I'm director Adam Newman, just because there's so many Adam Newmans out there, unfortunately. I'm IMDb. Try to get me to be the number one Adam Newman. That's always nice when that does happen. There is a comedian, Adam Newman, that's also from New Hampshire. Doesn't help. And then, yeah, exactly. And then I'm also Adam Newman on Facebook. Good luck finding me. But I'm the one that's typically attached to the Dreamscape page as well. And I don't run the Dreamscape, but I oftentimes am the one posting in them. So you can connect with me in any way that is there. And so, yeah, please follow mainly so that you can figure out more stuff about Round the Decay. And then if we ever get to make another movie, knock on wood, fingers crossed, all that type of stuff, then, we would be updating everything through that as well. And if you guys truly want to get more people from Round the Decay onto your show, I'm glad to send them over your way because you guys are obviously great
Yeah,
people,
no, it'd be great.
and we
Yeah,
love that. Yeah,
yeah.
and I love that you guys are consistent. That's one of the biggest things. You guys are consistent. You show up almost every Thursday, which is just so big for podcasts.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, little people pop up and then
just disappear, and
maybe they do a show every couple months or something.
Yeah, and you guys just keep trucking along and doing 6-hour shows like machines. It's incredible. So, but just let me know, and I'll try to reach out to them. You guys are already talking to Victoria and Damien and stuff like that. But if you want to bring any of these other people on, because they're incredibly interesting people, far more interesting than me. So I would love to send them your way and whatnot.
Sounds good. And you said about IMDb, there's different Adam Newmans. When the first time I had someone ask me on social media if I wanted to do an interview for Dirty Dancing, I was very, very confused. And then it happened. I'm not the Neal Jones who spells his name the same way from Dirty Dancing.
Oh, he's also in EAL?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because mostly Neal is NIL.
For a little while, actually,
EIL.
Neal Jones was the number one. If you Googled Once a Future Smash, the number one cast member was Neal Jones, but it was not the right one. Yeah.
Can you get residuals for that somehow? Like,
yeah, no, I don't know how to fix it. Yeah.
It's actually not the worst thing in the world when it does happen. It's not been the case so much with the comedian. It has happened a couple times. Adam Newman was the name of a soap opera character from Days of Our Lives, so that has been a bigger one. Yeah, and then but one of the great things is like so many people come up to us and we'll be like, what do you do? And I'll be like, well, I work for a production company called Dreamscape Productions. They go, oh, I've heard of you, and it's like, no, you've heard of DreamWorks, but we'll let you believe that you've heard of us. Thank you.
Just go with it. Yeah.
You're like, I was 5 when that was
right.
What's another thing? That nothing against the other Neal Jones, but I think he's like in his 60s or something.
Yeah, come on.
Come
on.
No. What you do is you tell people that you're that old, and then people are like, "Wow, you look fucking amazing."
That goes back to that guy that I said his movie looked great, thinking it was very low budget.
Right.
Then it was $50 million budget. Then like, oh no.
And also, I would at some point, because every time I come on here, obviously we're talking about a movie. I know you guys are big movie people, and I'd love to just talk movies with you sometime. I really
100%.
I really want to do it because I know that I've just loved talking about long legs last time. So I'm always willing to shoot the shit about movies.
No, that's very fun. Yeah,
100%. Awesome.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah,
see
you
you,
guys.
Melody. See you, Adam. Thanks for
Have a good night.
Stopping by here.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right. That was great.
Yep. Super cool. Love both of them.
Yeah, it was very fun. All right. I should, since I have these ready, Troy, I know we're getting kind of late here, but I do want to mention, because I said I would do this. We have the next group of Severed Limbs.
Can I take a 2-minute break, boss?
What? Yeah,
I know. All right, I'll be right back.
Of course. Let me. So I'll explain to everybody here. So Severed Limbs 18. That is our seasonal film festival. The next one is coming up at the end of January. And right now, for free, you can submit your films to Severed Limbs. It's on Film Freeway. Just look up Severed Limbs. It can be an older film as long as we've never played it. I'm not a stickler for genre, as we talked about in this last interview. So if it's horror-esque, if it's weird, underground, thriller, just something, along those lines. Don't submit like something that's like a romantic comedy that's just a straight up, movie like that. But you get the idea. Under 20 minutes, that's the cutoff length. Preferably shorter, but under 20 minutes. So I don't want to, dissuade anyone who has a really cool 18-minute short. But anything over that, we just can't accept, because we try to play a lot of stuff and the runtime gets too long. So under 20 minutes, horror-esque, underground, something weird. We never played it before, and it's totally free to submit it. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It doesn't matter your level of filmmaking. You could have never made anything before, and this could be your first thing. We've actually have several filmmakers who made stuff specifically for severed limbs, which was very cool. So any level, or you could be very experienced, that's fine too. And it's free to enter, it's free to watch. We get together. We used to do it on YouTube, but YouTube's like, no, you can't show nipples or anything like that. So no longer do we do these on YouTube, but we do them over on Twitch. So follow us on Twitch. And it's free to watch. We have an interactive chat with filmmakers and film watchers. It's a really good time. And we have awards. This time, for the first time, we're going to do live Q&A. So it'll be like, let's say we have 5 blocks of shorts. Block 1, trailers. Then we come in with the live Q&A. It's going to be me and the filmmakers from the previous block. We do the Q&A. Then we go into the next block of shorts. So that is going to be the lineup for Severed Limbs 18. And last week, let me go over these real quick. And then when Troy gets here, I'll go over the new ones. Last week, I went over the first, I believe, 5 selections. We had No Trespassing in Transylvania. The Final Escape. Jane and the Brain. It looks like I deleted this one for some reason. And Swamp Buck. I'm missing number. No, I guess that was it. Swamp in the Brain, Swamp Buck. Oh, I should have number. I should have. Oh, here we go. Red Pond. Red Pond. So we're going to go over the next 5 here in a minute. Great learning about the poem. Yeah, I actually didn't know that. Fun interview. To watch that. Very good. Thank you, Dave Deadman. YouTube is anti-nipple. Yeah, they actually made me take a nudity course. All right, Troy. So I just went over the 5 that I went over last week. Now let's go over to the next 5 here, okay? Or maybe it's the next 6.
Oh. I'll have to charge extra for 6.
All right. So first up is decoration. Adriana finds a small Halloween-style carved pumpkin on her way home and decides to take it with her. Something mysterious seems to accompany the discovery. 0-0. A young woman enjoys her afternoon at a park when suddenly a thief takes her purse and runs away. Something inside the purse is deeply attached to her. That sounds really weird, huh?
Yeah, it does.
The Legend of Sayre Hicks. Some legends are simply stories made up to scare the kids around the campfire. They are passed down through the generations, but some are more than stories. Some legends are very, very real.
Interesting.
Number 9 is Monster. Trapped in the shadows of fear, but now the tables have turned. This time, it's her turn to make the rules.
Okay.
Number 10. This is Der Metzgermeister. Der Metzgermeister.
I like that name. I like that word.
Metzgermeister. A dinner for 2 you'll never forget. I like that. Doesn't tell you much at all.
Yeah. Yep.
And then this one actually didn't have a description. It's just the veil. But it's a very nice poster.
I dig it. I definitely do.
So there we go. That's the first 11. And if you missed the first 5, Troy, I'll just show you the posters real quick. We got Red Pond.
Nice.
Swamp Buck.
Oh, I dig that one. I like the look of that one a lot.
Jane and the Brain. See the brain there in the jar?
Just having a picnic with a brain. I dig it.
Final Escape. and no trespassing in
Whoa.
Transylvania
More problems.
by the
All right.
Dorff brothers. So it's a group of brothers and like their dad that makes these movies together. Very fun.
All right. Looking forward to them.
Yeah, so we got 11 so far, free to submit. Also send in your trailers. It'll be a good time. All right,
Without a
Troy.
doubt.
So what's going on?
Not too much. Just everything's pretty quiet. Think we're gonna go see that animated Lord of the Rings film this weekend.
Oh, that's new?
Yeah. Yep. It I forget what it's called. It's
Lord of the Rings animated movie.
yeah. Yep. Like the Ride of the Rohirrim or something like that. It should be good.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. So I'm looking forward to Nosferatu the end of the month.
That looks tremendous.
Christmas
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, that one doesn't come out till Christmas, right?
Yeah, I think it comes out Christmas Day. I had some friends
wow.
who've seen it. I actually know a lot of people didn't like it, I have to admit, but I'm looking forward to it. I like to I've seen movies that people love that didn't like, movies that other people didn't like, I love, so who knows.
Yep. Yeah, you never know until you see it. And that one looks real good. Heard bad things about it, but I'd kind of like to see the new Werewolves movie.
Yeah, I've not heard hardly anything good about it myself, but I'd like to see it too. I guess it's more of an action movie than a horror movie, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. But,
Yep.
But yeah, I'd like to see it. I heard that almost everyone, even if they didn't like the movie, say the werewolves look cool.
Yeah, yep.
So that's always good. Trash's Revenge, I wanted to mention. So we're actually going to talk about this one with Linnea Quigley.
Oh, nice.
So it's in the Return of the Living Dead universe.
Oh, okay, nice.
And it's produced by John Russo, Beverly Randolph, and Linnea Quigley.
Oh,
and
wow.
It has a bunch of the original cast, Return of the Living Dead, Tom Matthews, John Philbin, Miguel Nunez.
Sweet.
So I'm really looking forward to talking about this. I don't know too much about it other than she wants to come on to talk about it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And Linnea's a lovely lady, always the best.
Yeah, I love Linnea.
Yep.
She's great. So I may have to do that on a different day just because it's time sensitive. So, but we're going to try to do it live either way. So I did suggest tomorrow for a Friday the 13th show. We'll see if she's free. But she's going to be at a convention next week, so she couldn't do it.
Oh, I see.
But it'll be coming up. It's weird because that's out, and then there's also the new Return of the Living Dead movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a totally different company. So I guess there was a lawsuit there.
Oh.
So I'm not really sure what's all going on there.
And is it already out or is it coming out?
No, they just posted the pictures of it. I think it's coming out.
Okay.
I think it's been made.
Oh.
Trash's Revenge are having a campaign, hoping to raise the money for it.
Nice.
So I don't know. We'll find out. It's interesting. This Saturday, the return. Well, we did one last week too. Saturday Night Frights. We're gonna have one the next 2 weeks. So this Saturday will be Slasher Days of Summer.
Nice.
8:00 start time. We'll show the movie. Then we're gonna have a live Q&A with the writer and some of the cast.
Oh, that's always fun. That's always a good time.
And then the week after that, we are going to do Klaus, the Devil's Primate.
Whoa.
Which is a movie about a killer gorilla.
Always love that. Come on.
So that's going to be a good time. So a lot of stuff coming up here. So subscribe, hit the like button, help support the site, join it. It starts at only $3 a month. Helps cover all the costs, help support the show. We appreciate it. And then, of course, coming up, Troy, in the new year, we will be launching the campaign for Arbor Day.
So looking forward to that. It's going to be so much fun.
Yes, and there may be another, like a short little Arbor Day universe. Short.
The Arborverse.
Yeah, with the plan. Hopefully we could premiere that at Severed Limbs. That would be fun.
Oh, that'll be a blast.
Yeah, we'll see. No promises, but that's the plan.
Never a promise, mate.
Yeah. All right. Earlier today, I was on the Stuttering John podcast. That was
I caught some of that, even though he was 40 minutes late.
Yeah, very, very late, but that was cool. Thank him for asking me to come on. That was fun. I'm sure you didn't even know what he was talking about half the time, because you're not part of the quote unquote Dabbleverse. I don't think you knew who Chad Zumach was.
Before a few weeks ago, I must say I was ignorant of that entire thing.
The shitware and all these things were like, who the hell is he?
Yeah, a lot of his references were completely baffling to me.
Yeah. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. But we talked about some horror stuff, so John will be on here at some point too and talk about horror.
That'll be good. That'll be fun.
Yeah. On here though, I think we'll just keep it to movies.
Yep. But he seemed like he had a good time. So
he did. No, I had a really good time. Honestly, it was very fun that he asked me. I've gotten a lot of trolls from being on there though. Not so much anywhere, actually, really nowhere except for X. X is really filled with trolls.
Oh, really? It's a troll haven?
Yes, lots of trolls. I assume they would be in the chat here, but it doesn't seem like they were, so that's good.
Oh, okay.
So get the Once and Future Smash and End Zone 2.
Do it.
Good time. And I don't have much else prepared because I had a really long day today doing that. And the other show ended up being like 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But this interview was great, though.
Yeah, this was a good one. Nice long one. Everybody got to rap about stuff. We had a lot of fun. It was good.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to show you Troy or everyone here. We'll close out the show here with the trailer for Slasher Days of Summer.
Oh, very nice.
For this Saturday Night Fright. Come and watch. It's a totally free feature film followed by a Q&A. It's a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, including the interactive chat. That will be on the Twitch. Here we go.
Well, it's about that time for going slam. Tell me when the movie starts here. About that hour not gone.
Are you a teen troubled by society? Feeling like an outcast or just plain down in the dumps? Well, I'm here to tell you that there's hope for a brighter future for you with us here at Camp Second. Hey kids, Camp Director Billy Thatcher here, and I'm here to invite you to Camp Second. Camp Second, slay your old self.
Whatever, get eaten by bear then.
Speaking of scare, do you know where we are?
There's a serial killer.
I'm here to help you, ladies.
This isn't funny anymore. This isn't just some cheap, scary movie.
Jesus Christ. The cursed soul of the Nowhere Killer is still with us today.
Fuck you, Elliot!
Oh, Saturday night's alright for Friday. Get a little horror. Saturday night's alright for Friday. Get a little horror in.
All right.
That looks great.
Yeah. And do you want to take a quick look at Klaus, the
Klaus.
Devil's Primate, which will be the next week?
Like,
Well, it's about that time for going slam. Tell me when the movie starts here. About that hour, not gonna cower with my eyes so full of fear. Oh, it's time for decapitation, blood and guts and sin. Oh,
Boom.
I'm good with Klaus too.
Yes. It's gonna be a good, fun couple weekends here. Holidays are coming early.
Yes, they are.
All right, we'll be back next Thursday. But like I said, subscribe here because there might be some shows popping up. Ryan, the director of Street Trash, will be doing that one soon.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, there's a few guests that will probably be coming up on different days that are normal Thursdays.
Sneaking up on you. You never know.
Yeah.
With the whip out
He's
your
in
head.
South Africa, so we have to do it a
Oh,
different
wow.
time. So we'll figure it out. It'll be good.
Yep.
Ryan Kruger. Not just Ryan. He's not like Madonna. He has the last
Okay,
name.
I thought maybe it was like Cher and just
Right,
boom, one
right.
name.
Yeah. All right. So me and Troy are going to be really busy with some Arbor Day stuff and Arbor-verse stuff. So, but we'll be talking to you guys soon. Until next week, this is Without
Your
Head.